Aliens who tried to defraud the American people yesterday left our office in handcuffs.
Marriage Fraud and USCIS Investigations 2025. In today's United States immigration system, those 6 words could define the future, or the downfall, of thousands of families. You may think a marriage certificate is enough to prove your relationship is real, but in 2025, that piece of paper means very little if the U.S. government suspects you're lying. In fact, even if your marriage is 100% genuine, one small mistake, one poorly answered question, or one red flag in your paperwork could get you denied, investigated, and even permanently banned from re-entering the country. And the scariest part? It's happening every single day. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, known as USCIS, has launched the most aggressive crackdown on marriage fraud in the agency's history. Under heightened political pressure and new directives in 2025, officers have been given expanded tools, training, and authority to detect fake marriages. This means even real couples, people who love each other and live together, are being treated like criminals. They're being pulled into fraud interviews. Their social media is being combed through. Their homes are being visited without notice. And in some cases, they're being separated, detained, and deported. So, what exactly is marriage fraud? It's when a person marries a U.S. citizen or green card holder solely to obtain immigration benefits. Under Section 275 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, this is considered a federal crime. It's punishable by up to 5 years in prison, a $250,000 fine, and worst of all, a lifetime bar from re-entering the United States. And that punishment applies to both the immigrant and the U.S. citizen's spouse if both are found guilty. But here's the problem. In 2025, you don't have to be guilty to get caught in the system. You just have to look suspicious. Let's talk about the red flags. These are the things USCIS looks for to determine whether a marriage is authentic. The first red flag is a short dating history. If you met online and got married within a few months, officers will be skeptical. They want to see a relationship that developed over time, not something rushed. The second red flag is a language barrier. If you and your spouse can't fluently speak the same language, they'll ask, "How did this relationship even work?" Next comes age differences and cultural gaps. A 55-year-old U.S. citizen marrying a 22-year-old foreign national from a vastly different background might raise concerns, especially if there's little documentation of time spent together. Then there's the issue of separate addresses. If your lease, utility bills, or driver's licenses don't show the same home, USCIS may assume you're not really living together. And one of the biggest red flags in 2025? Social media silence. If you're married and there's no sign of that on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, agents might wonder what you're hiding. But red flags aren't always about deception. Sometimes they're just the result of life. Maybe you got married quickly because of a health emergency. Maybe you live apart temporarily because of work. Maybe you're private on social media. That's understandable, but USCIS doesn't always see it that way. They assume the worst, and once they're suspicious, they don't let go. That's where the Stokes Interview comes in. This is the fraud interview. It's intense, it's nerve-wracking, and it's designed to break couples apart, literally and figuratively. Here's how it works. You and your spouse are interviewed separately. You're both asked a series of deeply personal questions, not just about how you met or when you married, but about your daily routines, your habits, even your hygiene. What side of the bed do you sleep on? Who wakes up first? What did you eat for dinner last night? How many windows are in your bedroom? What's the color of your spouse's toothbrush? What's your Wi-Fi password? They will compare your answers line by line. And if even a few answers don't match, you might be accused of lying, even if you weren't. In 2025, the Stokes Interview has become even more invasive. USCIS officers are now trained in reading body language, analyzing voice tone, and detecting stress. Artificial intelligence is being used to scan transcripts for inconsistencies. In some cases, interviews are recorded and reviewed by fraud detection units. You are not just telling your love story, you're being interrogated. And it doesn't stop there. If USCIS believes your answers don't match, they may refer your case to the Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, or FDNS. These officers have the power to conduct unannounced home visits, call your employer, interview your neighbors, and access your financial records. They can even track your travel history, message logs, and online activity. Yes, that's right, your social media is being monitored. In 2025, USCIS routinely checks public and sometimes private social media content. If your profiles don't align with your immigration story, that's considered evidence. If you post flirty pictures with someone else, if your relationship status says single, if there's no trace of your spouse, it could all be used against you. But sometimes, fraud accusations aren't based on anything you did wrong. They're based on fear, on politics, on quotas. Let's look at a few real-life stories. One couple, married for 2 years, filed for a marriage-based green card. But during the interview, the husband said they went to Cancun for their honeymoon. The wife said Jamaica. That single contradiction led to a Stokes interview. Under pressure, they stumbled on a few answers. Their case was denied. The immigrant's spouse was placed in removal proceedings. They had to fight for months in court just to stay together. Another couple had been together for 3 years, but they forgot to submit joint tax returns and didn't share a lease. USCIS assumed the marriage was fake. The immigrant received a notice of intent to deny. They were never accused of committing fraud, but they weren't given the chance to explain either. In 2025, you're guilty until proven innocent. So how do you protect yourself? How do you avoid becoming another statistic? First, collect strong evidence. Not just photos and wedding invitations. Think deeper. Joint bank accounts, insurance policies, tax filings, lease agreements, medical records, birthday cards, messages, travel bookings, even grocery receipts. Anything that proves your day-to-day life as a couple. Second, maintain consistency. Your immigration forms, your social media, and your verbal answers all need to tell the same story. Any contradiction, no matter how small, can raise doubts. Third, document your relationship timeline. Write down how you met, what dates are important, where you've traveled, when you moved in together. These details can be helpful when preparing for an interview or responding to a request for evidence. Fourth, prepare for your interview. Don't rehearse fake answers, but do talk through your relationship with your spouse. Make sure you both remember key dates, family names, and basic household routines. Practice helps reduce stress and prevents memory gaps. And finally, get legal help. If you've had any immigration violations in the past, or if you're called for a second interview, hire an attorney. In 2025, legal guidance can make the difference between approval and deportation. Now, what happens if USCIS believes your marriage is fraudulent? If you're found guilty, the penalties are devastating. Your application will be denied. You will be placed in removal proceedings. You will receive a permanent ban under Section 212, a 6CI of the INA for misrepresentation. That means you can never apply for a U.S. visa again, unless you get a rare legal waiver. You could also be detained by ICE and placed in a federal detention facility. And if the government finds evidence that your U.S. citizen spouse was complicit, they too could face fines or criminal charges. Marriage fraud doesn't just affect one person. It can ruin lives. And that's why it's more important than ever to do things right. To be honest, to be careful, and to be fully prepared. Let's be clear. The system isn't perfect. Good people get denied. Real marriages are questioned. But USCIS has a job to do. They are protecting the immigration system from abuse. The best way to protect yourself is to stay ahead. Stay documented. Stay informed. And most importantly, stay truthful. If your relationship is genuine and you're prepared, you have nothing to fear. But if you cut corners, submit fake documents, or try to game the system, the consequences in 2025 are swift and irreversible. This is not the time to take chances. This is not the time to lie. This is the time to protect your future with everything you've got. Marriage fraud investigations are only going to increase, but so are your chances of success. If you follow the rules, gather your evidence, and stand by your truth. Thank you for watching. This is University Hub. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone going through the immigration process. Drop a comment if you have questions, or tell us what topic you want us to cover next. Stay informed, stay ready, and stay legal.